As any Takagi-San fan knows, the manga isn't exactly in chronological order. After all, it takes us 52 chapters to see the first time Nishikata and Takagi-san meet. But what about the anime, I hear you asking? You are asking, right? Or whatever, I'll tell you anyway. The anime actually is in chronological order. Well, for the most part at least. The anime does an amazing job taking chapters from the manga and putting them into a chronological series of events, and they do this by adding small details that help connect chapters together. Now, I did say it was chronological for the most part, because we do have one segment that breaks the chronological order, and that would be entrance ceremony, or first day of school, whatever one you call it by. Right away, you can guess why this segment would be a problem. It's the adaptation of that 50-second chapter after all, and we established that is the chapter when Nishikata meets Takagi-san. So it being episode 12 of season 1 would obviously break the chronological order. You see the problem now, right? It's a segment that takes place in the past, but it's in a much later episode. Hey, wait a minute. Doesn't another segment fit that too? Oh yeah, drop in honorifics, or forms of address, or even names. Man, there's a lot of titles for one chapter. But anyway, you know that episode where Takagi-san drops Nishikata's honorific. That's in season 2, episode 3, and that's in the past because it's the first time she drops the honorific. So what gives? You see, dropping honorifics does something that entrance ceremony doesn't, and that's what we're here to explore. In Vimation video time. I wish I had a series name for something like this, but I don't. Then again, I haven't uploaded in a year, so do I really need a series? Anyway, let's just get on to the point of the video. Let's not talk about anything else, about me not uploading a year, anything else, let's just move on. Season 2, being the clever thing that it is, added one little thing to the segment that I believe greatly improved it. The only thing that was added was having a scene of Nishikata before the segment and one after it. That's all we need to keep the chronological order intact, because we are shown that Nishikata is remembering the events of dropping honorifics, and we are just seeing the flashback of his memories. Allow me a moment to connect this to one of my other favorite shows, being Steven Universe. I also have to mention Steven Universe in every single one of my videos. It's only been 3 videos, but I have to keep the trend going. Anyway, whenever the show wanted to do an episode that took place in the past, it had a character, whether it be Greg, Garnet, or Pearl, tell Steven the story of the episode, and we, the viewer, get to see the story happen. I always love when a show manages to tell a story that takes place in the past while also maintaining the chronological order. Shows have their own way of doing it, but they all achieve the same thing. Now that I've explained how dropping honorifics fits into the sequential order, let's get back to that pesky entrance ceremony. We did just look at dropping honorifics. Maybe the method it uses can be applied to entrance ceremony too. Obviously, it won't be official, but it might be fun to come up with scenarios on how to keep a precious sequential order. For each scenario, I'll give the pros and cons of it being used. Feel free to add your input on these scenarios as well as your own scenarios in the comment section. Telling my viewers to comment down below? I really am a real YouTuber. Wait a minute, where have I heard that before? Wait, I've said that too. Of course, this is all just a stretch. This theory has no ground to stand on. Wait a minute, where have I heard that before? Now, here's my crazy little theory, which has no ground to stand on, but it's interesting to think. Oh right, I said that in my uneducated analysis of Spinel, which you can watch right here using the eye icon. Hopefully I timed that right. Shameless plug. I really am a YouTuber. Oh right, I said those in my Steven Universe Future Theory video, which you can watch right here using the eye icon. Hopefully I timed that right. Shameless plug. I really am a real YouTuber. Wait a minute, where have I... The first scenario I came up with will actually just be a quick change to what is already in the episode. All we really need to do is just change some scenes around. First, we'll take the opening scene from Scene Arrangement, the segment after entrance ceremony, and have it play out exactly as it is up until Nishikata opens up his drawer and finds Takagi-san's handkerchief. Then, we'll add a line when Nishikata looks at the handkerchief and have him say something like, look at it more closely, it looks like the one from when we first met. Cue the flashback and entrance ceremony plays out the same way it did in the episode. Finally, we'll add in a new scene that cuts back to Nishikata, and we'll see him put the handkerchief in his school uniform pants pocket, then go to his desk and start writing something. Who knows what, am I right? The title card for seed arrangement would have to be changed since the one currently doesn't fit anymore. I'd suggest just using the manga chapter cover for the new one. Now it's time to look at the pros and cons list for this scenario, starting off with the pros. This scene adds to the scene in seed arrangement when Nishikata returns the handkerchief to Takagi-San. In that scene, Takagi-san mentions the times he gave the handkerchief to him in water tap, while Nishikata is the one to think of the other time in entrance ceremony. It would make sense for him to think of that right away if he was just remembering it last night, like my scenario has it. Now onto the cons. One con is it does basically spoil that the handkerchief is the lost item Nishikata found, which isn't a big deal to me, but it could be a problem for some of you. Another con is kinda mixed for me. Having Nishikata at the desk does hint at the note he writes her, but I don't see anything wrong with that hint, which is why I added the scene, but again, I can see how it could bother some. Overall, I think this is the best case scenario, and I would have loved it if this was in the anime, because the pros outweigh the cons by a lot here for me. Now, I have another scenario that is more just for fun, but I want to share it here. This scenario is something that is completely different, and is something that the show doesn't do much, if at all, which is focus on Takagi-san's perspective. First, the scene will take place the night before the events of scene arrangement, similar to the opening scene with Nishikata, but this time we see Takagi-san's view. Currently, she is laying on the bed looking at her phone, with a text message sent by, let's go with Sumari, because we all love Ponytail-chan. The message Sumari sends is about the class season change tomorrow. When Takagi-san sees this message, it will obviously make her feel down, as she is shown to be in season arrangement. And we'll have her say something along the lines of, has it been that long since we first sat together? This will have her remember the first time she sat next to Nishikata, and cue flashback. Entrance ceremony plays out the same way, by the way. Finally, we have another scene of Takagi-san smiling after remembering that fateful encounter, when she is then called to eat dinner by her mother. Then, the title card for seat arrangement appears, and you could play the open scene of Nishikata here this time, since we did not use it in this scenario. But, to change one detail, I would have Nishikata mention the water tap moment, and Takagi-san bring up entrance ceremony, since it fits better this way in this scenario. Onto the pro sides of the scenario, it is an instance of seeing Takagi-san's perspective, which we rarely ever get to see, and I see no better time than the last episode of the season to do one. Even if Love Letter kinda had one, but 2 won't hurt them, okay? Another pro is that this scene shows how Takagi-san knew about the seat arrangement, which he tells Nishikata to his surprise. Also, I feel like seeing Nishikata and Takagi-san the night before really helps hype up this segment. With one feeling down and the other having to go out of their comfort zone, it is a great way to build up the final segment of Season 1. Now onto the cons. One of them being, the show doesn't do scenes like this much. I mention this as a pro because I like scenes like this, but ultimately a scene like this is not likely due to how the show is formatted around Nishikata's thoughts. The amount of times I just said like in that last sentence shows how great of a writer I am. And the fact that I'm aware shows how lazy I am. Another con is not having Nishikata mention the entrance ceremony. It's kind of a loss for me because I feel it is a great moment of his character, but it is something we need to change for this to work. Overall, I like this one in concept, but I don't think it would work the best if it was in the anime. So as much fun as this is, I don't think this is a great one to use. This is the part of the video where after I've looked over the scenario recordings, I now give some notes that are important to mention that I forgot to bring up. This note actually works best at the end because it applies to both scenarios, and that is perspective. I brought this up with Takagi-san a bit, but there is more that needs to be said on this topic. In entrance ceremony, there are scenes that are from both their perspectives. One for Nishikata's is the scene where we see him return the lost item, and one of Takagi-san's is her searching through her book bag. These scenes cause a problem because it doesn't make sense for Takagi-san to remember moments where only Nishikata is there, and vice versa. Now, I think the scenarios still work even with this drawback, because I like to think of the flashbacks as more of a segue into the past, so even though it's not an exact memory for either of them, it is a way for the show to show us this past moment because a character in the present is currently thinking about it. Not everyone will agree in seeing it this way, and even I am not 100% in favor of it, but I'm fine enough with it to still like my scenarios. I'm sure there has been one person who has been watching this video throughout and has been waiting for me to bring this moment up. Truth be told, I almost forgot to, but it really needs to be addressed. Yes, we are talking about this scene. This is the only time we see a future scene like this, and it appears at the beginning of Camper Trip. The sole existence of this scene is to ruin the chronological order I tried to make with my scenarios, making this video pointless. I should just quit now. The video has no point anymore. Why out? Fine. Let's try to spin this in a way that could work for us. With Season 3 and the movie coming out, maybe in one of those it will reveal that the whole show is Maru Takagi-san reminiscent about the time she first met her husband. What? It could happen. If that is revealed, it would be weird, because then we will have a future Takagi-san remembering a present Takagi-san who is remembering a past Takagi-san. Then again, I did something similar in this very video, with me remembering an old video, where in that old video clip, I am remembering an even older video clip. And yes, I did plan this parallel from the beginning. Don't question it. That's about all I have for the notes, so I will bring back to Past Me with the conclusion, since I am writing and recording this after I've already finished the video. Take it away, Past Me. I know. This really isn't that deep of a discussion, nor is it anything that special. It's just Ryan Mason making up scenarios to help make the anime fully chronological, if anyone even cares. I'm just trying to make an already perfect adaptation even better. Now, what spurred this on could be either two things. One, that I'm obsessed with the chronological of the manga, or the news of Season 3 in the movie. I'm going to go with Season 3 in the movie because what sane person is obsessed with the chronological order of the manga? Not me, of course. Now, where does that Blu-ray Volume 1 extra comic go in the timeline? In the end, I had a fun time coming up with these scenarios, and I hope you got some enjoyment hearing these ideas at the very least. Until next time, hopefully not over a year, lie out.